Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. And to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than the Rex Shady Nero. And guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all of them. We have a lot to talk about today. Not only do we get to talk about the predictions for this weekend with some really, really fun matchups, obviously, and some really big ones to talk about. Not only do we have COD 2021 to talk about, not only do we have all the drama of the week to talk about, and it's gonna get wild. So before we get to any of that, guys, I've got to ask, boys, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I feel like the love of my life has decided to take a dump on my chest. And, you know, I'm not feeling so great about it. Not my thing. And I kindly asked just, hey, let's not shit on my chest, please and thank you. We're better than that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, OBJ would disagree, but Sam, how you doing?
I'm just slightly uncomfortable, but you know, I'm gonna,
looking forward to the day.
I'm looking forward to the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can listen on Spotify, you can watch on YouTube, you can drop a review on Apple Podcasts, and you can drop a comment on YouTube, of course, as well. But today we got a 5-star review from
Jots TF.
Okay.
Title is called COD Champs.
Okay.
Simple. What will it take to beat FaZe?
Oh, great question.
And can you see anyone beating them anytime soon? Also, what is everyone's dark horse going into the champs?
Oh, this is a good review.
P.S. Love the podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Keep up the good work. just a little.
Would we consider Dallas a dark horse?
I mean, at this point,
is anybody a dark horse if
emerged.
they're not FaZe?
I mean, maybe. I mean, that's I guess that is the debate. I mean, realistically, only 8 teams are making champs.
I would
and
consider
the top
Dallas.
4 really aren't a dark horse because they're top 4.
I would consider like Florida.
Like, I mean, you have to say Florida, right?
Yeah.
Florida was a dark horse last year too.
Is LA Thieves a dark horse? Is Minnesota a dark horse? You know, like those. Probably not Minnesota right now.
No.
But I mean, I mean, you'd lean either LAT or Florida or Florida as the dark horse.
I'd almost have LAT above. I
mean, they've been playing pretty well.
They played well. They played well. Okay.
To be fair, they beat New York, who then got beat by OpTic pretty
in a game 5 round 11.
Yeah, that's the thing.
New York should have. Like the first map, you could tell that's not the New York we know. First map.
Yeah, the first 2 maps.
First two maps. Like that's not hard.
Awful.
That's not the New York we know. They should have won for sure the first one, the hard point. Like they lost by 100 points or whatever, but you could just see the way they're playing. It was not right.
No, it wasn't. Which we will talk about a lot later today, obviously. True. But yeah, LAT would be an interesting one. I'd probably right now lean them a little bit ahead of Florida as well, just because of the recent performances, which is surprising.
Yeah.
But thanks for the 5-star review, my guy. Do appreciate it. The shout out for the pod things you love to see. You can drop a review on Apple Podcasts, and we might read it as well. So down in the future, so make sure you do that. But if you guys got nothing else, I think we can get right in to the news of the week.
Here we go.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
News here.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. So, Shady Nero, what do we got today? You've been so good with the news. I mean, just so great.
Phenomenal.
You're back at it again. So what do you got for us?
Guys. News of the week. So, Octane was on the Eavesdrop.
Woo!
Kind of pissed at Crim. Crim was starting to roast him on the flank, saying he's not a top 5 AR in the game. Crim later came back, like on Reddit, saying that he shouldn't have said that. He just used an example, yada yada. And Crim also believes he's not a top 5 AR himself.
Yeah. That was interesting. There was a whole lot going on there. Obviously, I mean, Crim was kind of going rogue this week.
He was.
And then that's kind of what brought up the whole convo with Octane on the flank, which was a great episode of the flank. I'm sorry, of the Eavesdrop.
Eavesdrop.
My bad.
No free shout-outs to
Crim
either of
was
those
on.
things.
No free shout-outs, obviously not, you know, but it was just really, really good. I think the whole conversation was awesome. Again, Crim has just been going off lately, just saying whatever he wants, just going.
People are saying he's soft, like, because he's so like Octane even said on the Eavesdrop, he was like, you know, Crim is like the most championships, like 1.2 million in earnings from playing Call of Duty. And like he's the greatest. Why is he slandering
right?
his
and that was
name?
basically Octane's whole argument was like that. It was just kind of weird seeing him do something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And like, then again, Crim did reply to the whole convo today and was like, "Yo, like no biggie, like." It was just an example, like you said, Rex. And then that's when he said that he actually didn't think he was currently a top 5 AR in the game, which is a little bit
I
surprising.
think Crim still thinks Octane's not a top 5 AR.
Well, no, Crim was talking about himself.
I mean, in the Reddit post.
Oh,
but he also is using
right
Octane
now.
on the flank.
Oh,
He was saying he's not top 5 AR. So
yes.
Do we think that's
So-
true? Is Octane not a top 5 AR?
I mean, I had Octane as the 5th AR in our little video a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was, we ranked all the top 5 CoD Pros at each position. So I had Octane at 5, but it was a really, really tough discussion with like guys like Formal, Crim, Octane, and some really, really great players like that. And with Slasher getting better and better now, and there's just a lot of really, really freaking talented players in the CDL right now. But
Yeah.
so I
How much does winning go into effect of like where you should be seen as an AR?
Well, that's the thing. I
Can
mean,
you be a top 5 AR if you're on the worst team?
And not win.
And if you're not
Yeah.
winning, like, you know, if you're getting the most kills but you're still not winning, does it really
I mean, at
matter?
the end of the day, it's a team game. So like, there's only so much you can control. Obviously, each player is 25% of the team, so it's a little bit different than like the NFL, where like you could have a superstar quarterback, but his team sucks. But he's only one of the 22 players that are on the field at any given time. So it's more similar to basketball, I guess, where it's like, you know, a starter might be 1/7 of the players that actually play on a regular basis or something like that. So I mean, like, you know, I think you can be one of the better players in the game and be on a bottom 4 team, but it just kind of depends on the situation.
Absolutely. But
Mhm.
to kind of circle around back to the Crim.
Yes.
I honestly don't know how much, like, do you ever take Crim's tweets anymore like super serious?
Yeah, like
It's
how much
hard to
does
tell.
he actually mean
It's
it?
hard to tell what's trolling, what's that kind of thing nowadays with his villain role.
Yeah, I mean,
And so, like, I get where Octane's coming from.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not my name being slandered. But, like, I'd almost want to say, like, I wouldn't pay
it's
attention
like,
to
yeah, I mean,
it.
at the end of the day, it's probably not that deep. Like
No.
Crim's like, no, obviously Octane's really, really good this game. And I'd imagine he probably thinks like, yo, like if he had better teammates around him or like a more structured
Mhm.
team around him that was built around the fundamentals of CoD, then maybe it would work better.
Yeah.
Like I could see those arguments.
Yeah.
But from Crim's perspective, I mean, obviously he's a commander on the map, and like he wants things to go a certain way, and he has a plan for how a team should play. And if things aren't happening the way that he thinks they should be, then it's like, yo, you're playing wrong. This needs to get fixed. And so I think from his perspective, he's like, well, Octane should know X this thing and this thing and this thing, but he keeps doing it. So therefore he's not a top 5 player. So I could see that argument from Crim's perspective, but there is like a natural talent aspect where it's like, obviously Octane can shoot as straight as anybody and win a gunfight with anyone.
That's facts, though. He's got one of the straightest shots I've ever seen.
I mean, for
It
2
just had
straight
the
years,
stats.
obviously Octane's been on the bottom 4 team in a
Yeah.
CDL. And that's tough. That's a tough argument to make for a guy to be a top. If let's say you really think Octane's a top 3 player, like a top 3 AR,
Yep.
that'd be a pretty dang tough argument to make when you're like, man, if you're a top 3 player on like a team, you'd think you'd be able to convert that into more wins. I don't think top 5's that big of a stretch though,
No.
considering there's only 12 ARs in the league.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Or wow, 12 teams.
There's absolutely an argument. There's absolutely an argument there.
Yeah. So I mean,
I mean,
obviously
there's always an
guys-
argument for like composition of a team, just speaking like chemistry wise. Although I guess Seattle was sort of organized in a way that they thought would produce some sort of chemistry. What with Gunless, Looney, Octane, and they added Priestahh.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not working out as much as I think they thought it would.
Me personally, I don't think he's top 5 either. Octane.
Yeah. I mean, he was right on the fringe for you though. He was
Yes.
like 6th on your list.
Yeah, like Formal and Skyz were the 4-5.
Yeah, and then
And then
Octane
Octane.
probably. Yeah. That makes sense. So it is close.
Yeah.
I would give him the tiebreaker right now, but it just comes down to how much do you think Octane's the reason why they're losing? Or like, could Octane do more around the map to help his teammates? And is that the problem? Like other factors. So.
Like, obviously, it'd be so cool to have every player be able to like find a team that can like if every player in the league could like mix around and find 3 other players that help them, that'd be great. But at the end of the day, classic Josh quote right there.
Oh, that's a classic Josh quote.
It's just like you can't do that. So you kind of have to take into account the team standings and the team's performance too. So
I mean, at some point he's got to start winning again.
Yes.
And if he doesn't, then that does hurt his stock or his state in the league right now. So that'll be interesting, man. Other stuff that was there, obviously, again on the Eavesdrop, Hecz did a really good job of creating some fun combos, and Octane was willing to answer.
It was juicy.
He did ask Prime Scump for Prime Simp, and Octane was like, he said he's not sure if we've seen Prime Simp yet.
That's scary.
We have had this debate maybe 2 or 3 times over the past like 6 months, obviously, and pretty recently we had a very similar debate.
Yeah,
but he did say that he would still take Prime Scump, AW Scump, which is what I would still probably say, but it's really close.
Hard, man. It's
really close. It's really close.
And it's just Jordan v. LeBron. Like that's the question. And it's just like for their eras, they were amazing. And it's just a different time.
Well, and two, it's like if you give Simp the ability to play in as many events too, like there's a lot more events happening.
That is true.
In AW, so maybe there is some bias as to we saw more of Scump because there was more events of Scump back in his prime day. So it's hard, and
there were a ton of events in AW.
Ton of events, and then like now there aren't as many events, and Simp is dominating every single one.
Yeah,
and so it's the question.
That's what gets really, really interesting.
The question
and since
is,
the literally second he came into the league.
Yeah. And so honestly, for me personally, I think I would take Simp right now.
That is crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really close for sure. So that's what gets fun.
I think I would take Simp too.
Yeah, and then the final part was that he said that they've had some frustrations this year because Hecz asked about like the weirdness of like trades and making moves in the CDL, and Octane said that they've heard the "we don't want to make you better" quote from multiple teams this year towards Seattle about not trading players to them or not making moves with them because they don't want to make them better. And so he says it's been really, really frustrating since the CDL started about that whole process of trying to improve their roster.
Is that only Seattle, or is that how many teams have actually traded within each other?
Well, I'm sure a lot of teams are hearing that.
Yeah,
I'd imagine Dallas is like, I ain't trading Hook to Florida.
No
chance. Probably stuff like that. I imagine.
I think they want to keep the bottom 4 teams in the bottom 4.
And then there was kind of like the whole Vivid, where Vivid was trying to go to Seattle, and then LAG backed out of it. The rumor that was going around.
Yeah.
So there are kind of those weird things too, but
yeah, I think it really is like just down the dumps for the bottom 4, because you think about it, the top 8 don't want the bottom 4,
and they're just trying to maintain their spots.
But then the bottom 4 also don't want to make the bottom 4 any better either.
Yeah.
So it's like there's just nothing they can do right now.
Right, because like in the NFL, normally you would trade your players to the opposite side of. Like the NFC trades to the AFC, and the AFC is trading to the NFC. So you don't trade in between conferences or whatever, So that's what gets interesting. But now obviously with the CDL, it's unavoidable. If you make a move, you're improving another team potentially. So yeah, fire away. Yeah, but that's that. Rex, keep going with the news. What do you got?
100 Thieves.
I don't know if that was English.
Thieves has a Gucci collab, which is big news. Big name brand Gucci with 100 Thieves. Any thoughts on that?
Keep recording, but can we get that as a drop? Sorry. Okay,
yeah, actually so tough. Oh my. Pain. Pain. But sorry, anyway. Rex, so yeah, Gucci LAT or I know 100T.
Yeah, fire. Gucci and LA Thieves, big brand crossover there.
Yeah, I mean that's the first time we've really seen esports kind of cross over in like the mainstream fashion.
That is crazy,
which is pretty freaking crazy. I mean, if you would have told me this dude Nate Shot 4 years ago, who has aches on his BO4 team getting bodied and by other pro teams right now, is going to eventually collaborate with Gucci in merchandise, is like, I mean, that is insane.
Is this
partner with Drake?
Yeah, partner with Drake.
Is this a product of their stuff, their apparel being stylish, or is it just more of a big name thing?
I think it's because LA Thieves has like shown themselves to be a brand that in a way is almost exclusive. Like,
yeah, I mean, and they do their merch like that too.
Yeah, and they do their merch like that too, where it's almost like it's very cool to get that. Like, it's like, this is part of the cool club if you do this.
They
and
only,
like, they're
they only
known
release
as
X
that,
amount.
Yeah, they're known as that cool club brand, which that's obviously like Gucci, Prada, all those names. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They
did a great job of that.
Must just not understand fashion. Is there
You don't
like,
say.
okay. I like my black shirts. Wow, that was just a backhanded comment right there, sir.
I mean, I don't either, so it works out.
Because obviously, like, go thieves, do your thing. But some of those drops, I just like.
Some of them weren't it.
I just don't get it.
I actually agree, but some of them are fire.
But
I do agree.
I think it is just like the fact that it's exclusive. Even if it's not like very eye catching, it's just the fact that it's exclusive that
matters
I
too.
need
Is that not the same with like Gucci and Prada stuff though?
That is
like,
true.
You'll
I
see some
guess.
stuff from them and you're like, that is wild. That is just kind
But
of
at the same
weird
time,
and like,
though,
yeah.
I
doesn't
can't
look
say
good,
anything.
but it has the brand. So obviously it's super cool.
Yeah, I can't say anything because like I'm a broke brother, and so it's like if I say anything, I just sound like I'm hating on the rich.
You're poor.
You're so poor, bro.
So embarrassing.
I never want to be around you. You're
Yeah,
poor.
wow.
You don't got
So
no
sad.
Gucci, bro.
Insane. Could you imagine?
One day I'll have a Gucci belt. You never know.
Yeah, my goodness.
But
yeah, I guess
Anyways.
that's
but that is cool though.
it is cool.
all things
Good step
considered,
for esports.
that's awesome.
Good step for esports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Nate Chat.
Next up, this is a hard one for me, but Clay continues to be cryptic about things happening with NYSL. As we saw, NYSL lost both their series this week. Clay sends out a tweet. Got a lot to say, but only thing I will say is that I'm really, really tired of all this.
Why does he keep putting out these depressing,
He's got to be the most cryptic tweeter.
low-key tweets lately, man?
He's got to be the most cryptic tweeter.
It's so depressing.
It is.
I mean, so the question I think that comes into our minds is like, does this mean like retirement? Like,
right.
what's
Was it just
the situation
online
here?
COD? Was it just the disconnects? Because obviously, BitConnect. No, so Hydra obviously disconnected so much during that series. There was like an insanely long break. Luckily, I was watching it on a delay, so I skipped through. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh my word, I caught up. I'm live.
It was insane.
Like I caught up all the way.
I like left like an hour and a half. I'm like, wow, we're still on map 2.
Yeah, insane. And so I was like, well, this is great. I'm watching live again. So this is awesome. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just tired of that type of situation.
And it just like probably all just online COD as a whole. I mean, that's just ridiculous when your livelihood is doing that too.
Right.
That's
And when you build your whole career on playing in front of fans and on LAN, and so hopefully the vibes can get back for him. But obviously it was a tough weekend for him with the losses. So
I wonder
I
if the
can imagine they're a
frustration
little bit
also
low.
comes like, from the technical issues, but the fact that now that they are doing LANs, why aren't we doing LANs for these homestands since everybody's in Texas anyways? Like, let's just do a LAN.
That would also be the debate too. Yeah.
Or at least for the ones that we can do LANs for, do the LANs for that. And I could see being frustrated in that aspect because New York is on like that cusp of like, we want to be in that top 2, top 3, conversation still and have that going into champs. But with this, when things like this happen, I can see it being very frustrating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't think it was about retirement. Could he still retire after this year? Yeah. But I don't think that's what it was about.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was just more overall frustrations and just being like, don't want to be too down, but he wants to put out some sort of like, I'm not feeling great right now type tweet,
Well, remember at the beginning of the year too, he's talking about how he was like pulling his hair out trying to coach all these like new players basically.
Yeah.
And like he was super stressed about that. And now we're sitting probably the same sort of situation here. It's like now doing bad. Now he's like, now it's so stressful to try and fix all this stuff.
Yeah, that's what gets tough. I mean, that's not an easy situation for sure. And again, we'll talk more about New York here in the predictions too. So
Google, YouTube unveiled a new
this is
product called Activstat. Basically, it's going to be an overlay on the CDL streams that you can, like, how would you say? Like, you can actually click on things and see stats
and broadcasts. Yeah. So there isn't like a ton of information. They put out a little like article about it. I was just trying to read through a little bit to get a better idea of it. It wasn't exactly totally easy to understand exactly how they're going to be doing it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool that Google put out an article like on Google Cloud specifically about the COD League. And I a new feature for esports fans is what they called it. It says Activstat brings fans, players, and commentators the power of competitive statistics in real time. Stats that matter not only to the game at hand, but also for a full roster of competitors globally. And so apparently it should help literally with live stats, not just hopefully more in-depth stats than just your average like KDs and things like that in the match.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice too. Hopefully, I don't know if they'll have this, but you can see it's like they're playing a map. It's like, okay, what's like their win-loss on this versus this specific team, or like who's the best player on this map for a certain team, and kind of see what you're trying to predict while it's happening, which I think is very cool.
Yes, yeah. So they said the initial rollout will include critical information like player and team standings and winning ratios across multiple aspects of virtual combat. So very kind of wordy.
That's cool.
But hopefully it'll help, just the overall stats aspects of like watching COD and give us more than just the basic KD overall in the season type stats, which is if we can even get like live updates on KDs on certain maps and those type of stuff that is currently being tracked mostly manually by people in the community like Easy Mac and all those guys. So Carson, everybody. But yeah, so that'd be great. I'm really looking forward to that for sure. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So Josh, do you want to talk about this one with the flank?
Oh yeah, so I just thought this was cool. I just thought it was to throw this into the news. I didn't really know where to put this in our little podcast here, but I thought the flank had a cool discussion on some developing talent and some nice like ideas for their whole like thoughts on like different things when it comes to the issues of current like talent development into CDL. And the two things that they really mentioned I thought were really cool was like having the idea of like having, obviously having like academy teams for every single pro team, which would be important to have to help develop talent, but then also having separate head coaches for each team to like really specify and give those time to those guys. Cause like right now it's like, if you're a head coach in the CDL and you have an academy team, I mean, how much time are you really going to spend watching your academy team or paying attention to that? It's not much.
No.
So it's like, we just need, again, bigger, like we talked about with OpTic, but like really with the whole CDL, bigger competitive families for all teams to help kind of build that kind of structure throughout the CDL. Yeah. And then they also talked about the idea of like flexes right now and really like prioritizing being like valuable flexes inside the amateur scene, and how like right now there's kind of a lack of true flexes in the CDL. Obviously that is kind of debated because the meta this year is basically like 2 ARs, 2 SMGs almost all the time. And the debate is that because there aren't enough true flexes, or is that because of the game's meta? Like if teams don't have like the guys to utilize being a real flex all the time, like Dashy just wants to run an AR all the time, guys like that. But yeah, so I thought those were two interesting debates that just were fun and interesting, and I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on whatever of those things.
I definitely want all 12 teams to have a dedicated challengers team that are competing every single time. In my mind, it'd be cool. So all 12 teams have their challengers team, but then there's still the like pickup squads of, if you can't get on a team, you can still play the challengers. So there's that battle between these, franchise challengers team, but then also like the pickup guys.
Yeah.
And so there's this constant competition. You get
developing names.
You get development from like all the teams with the 12 franchise leagues. You get head coaches for the challengers, and again, that's just gonna develop the talent, and then also make the whole ecosystem better, where it makes sense where guys are moving up from challengers to the pro league. Well, it's like they're already on their team's challengers team. Yeah. So I think that would be great.
I mean, the LAG Academy, pretty relevant. I mean, we were just about to talk about kind of like their win for the Challengers Cup, but I mean, they were signed at the beginning of the year. They've had basically a very similar roster most of the year, at least some of the core guys, and they've been fun to follow this whole year. Now we see Mental in the CDL and Chino doing his thing still and had his chance in the CDL. I think it can be valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's entertainment.
Yeah. And you're looking at basically like, it's what League of Legends and Overwatch does. You're basically gonna have like 3 tiers. Like you have the lowest tier, like the 3rd tier, which is like people who haven't made a name for themselves, aren't really known yet, really trying to make it. You get
the GB ladder type people,
scouted, and then you'll eventually make it onto an academy team. Hopefully, you have your own coach there who's going to try and develop your talent and make you better. so that you could potentially make it into the pro league. And then that same organization who's at the top, like LAG, they can pull from their pool of people on their academy team that's being developed by a dedicated coach, and like preparing players for what the pro team might need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps bridge that gap of like the networking problem that there is right now, where it's like the quote unquote friends league where you have to know the pros to become a pro. And that's a tough hill to climb for a lot of these amateur players who maybe they got off on the wrong foot with a pro. They beefed with them like 3 years ago, and they still haven't got over it. You know, those stuff are like weird things that always happen in COD, where like some pro will think something about a player that happened literally years ago, as if people can't change, which is, I mean, just natural human nature, I guess. But yeah, I think that like it just kind of creates that like easier barrier of entry into like the pro world. And then you go from there. Where like right now it's like, how do you even become a pro? You have to win events and then just hope that a pro notices you and it's like, hey, I should try this guy out, or hope that one of your teammates gets picked up and then you get picked up. Like that's basically what has to happen at this point. Like it's crazy, but yeah.
Challengers news. LG Academy, they won Cup 18.
Yeah, that was crazy.
They lost.
That was awesome.
Game 1 hardpoint 222 to 90.
They were losing. They were winning 222 to 90,
and then lost.
Then they lost the map.
That's
so they were
insane.
down 1-0 in the series after like a freaking 130 point comeback. But they ended up regaining and winning the series, which was epic. It was really, really cool. So shout out LEG Academy. And it got
they were looking good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And so it's ironic coming off of the whole Scraps thing last week where we talked about Scraps is like after the LAG Academy beat LAG in the scrims, everyone's like, yo, what just happened here? And then Scraps like, nah, man, they're pros and they'll figure it out. But like, I mean, LAG Academy is suddenly looking fantastic once Sheen dropped back down there and they pick up Mox and now they're rocking and rolling again. I don't know. I mean, they're pretty dang good.
Nuke the LAG roster, brimp the Academy team.
I mean, it's not that hot of a take to say that right now the LAG Academy would be better than the LAG roster right now.
No, it's not a hot take.
Considering how we saw the scrims go last week.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun to see. I mean, LAG's got nothing to lose now.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
See what you can do. Maybe you'll embarrass a few pro teams. And be
especially
like,
after Mental's less than stellar opening in the CDL.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, dude. I was pissed. I was really hoping for a star there.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see that flash factor, which I guess we were going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a second as well. So other news here, Rexy boy.
Hecz says he could change the team at any time he wanted to. That was on the Eavesdrop, and basically he's talking about balancing.
Forgot to say that earlier.
He's running two almost like separate entities where you have your content and your competitive. Now his content is really, really strong. Now the competitive is going to get better. Basically talking about the intricacies of that. What do you have to say?
It's Scump and Formal. I mean, it's Scump and Formal. Obviously, Dashy and Envoy are very solid in content, and they're good in content. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, you're talking about Scump and Formal. Like, sure, in theory, you could bench Scump and Formal, but why not? Why would you do that? Yeah. You know, and then with the content doing so well, and the team's still top 5-ish at the worst, top 6 at the worst.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. Like he was just so candid. Like the competitive is not doing too well. And I'm like,
he's like, I could change it anytime. Yeah, I thought it was just really funny. I thought it was like that's comedy, and Octane's reaction was really funny.
He's not like delusional about his competitive team. Like he knows there's issues there.
Though OpTic looks like they're getting kind of better.
Well, I mean,
but then they do. But then like I can.
Again,
I'll save it
they're
again.
only good till they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it definitely was interesting. The other, so I'll take this one, Rex. The other slight one there was we saw some like a lot more talk of hacking this week. Just a whole bunch of hacking talk. And we saw some of it in the AM scene as well in the EU, where Zero was exposing some guys who were cheating in the EU scene. And obviously Warzone has been just constant on Twitter and all that stuff with like Z-Laner and all those guys talking about hacking and just the constant stuff there, talking to Activision about it. It's just insane that they haven't acknowledged it.
And the downward stream of that is not only are you dealing with hackers, but you're dealing with people now being accused of hacking because there's no way to disprove it. And that's what Z-Laner was talking about, was he's being called a hacker and he's like, I'm not hacking. Come over to my setup and watch me play.
You can scan anything while you can record everything on my computer while I'm playing.
And so if it's to this point where people are no longer even sure of like anyone, like how
Mutex streamed with 5 cams.
5 cameras. How like his CPU must be on fire. But I just don't understand from Activision standpoint where this is now
Who has 5 cameras.
This is now your child. Warzone is.
Yeah.
You're not taking care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Warzone has hackers too.
Like you were on top of it.
Who has 5 cameras?
Mutex.
I mean, that's just a lot of cameras. I mean, I guess you just have some old webcams laying around, but
or you have enough money because I mean he's
did he just go buy 5 new webcams?
He could have.
I mean, I respect if he did.
Respect.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can use your old iPhones as cameras.
Just have a ton of iPhones.
You have a ton of iPhones, just like wired up.
I've done that before.
Or just one. But
I could play. Yeah. Well, Rex, what else we got?
So this happened like a few days ago, but Crim was talking about. Well, I'll just read what he said. AW Scump isn't even close to Prime Hecz. In IW, the game was played as 3 players, pure aggression, 1 Godslayer. Formal was put into that role of Godslayer. He did perform exceptionally well, but Hex's delusion created and instilled a confidence in his teammates that Clay tries to replicate to this day, and I won't even attempt it. You all need to remember we are playing a team game. We had created essentially a different way of thinking, and Hecz was at the forefront of this. Whether he knows it or not, he actually helped Damon, Clay, and I win more championships than he's even aware of. And I think we've sort of talked about this, and it's something I actually really enjoy is like the mental aspect of the game. And basically, Hecz was maybe the spearhead of like really creating that hype for the team and
the
really
confidence,
bringing the environment aspect into it and that mental aspect of like, we are the best, we got to like, and really trying to push that.
I mean, that complexity team will undoubtedly go down as the most intense team of all time. When you have Clay, Hecz, and Crim all on the same team, like that's just some intensity right there. And so you see all those like classic videos of the celebration and the screaming and like that was something to behold back in the day.
Right. So that's like comes to the question of like, what's going to be more important is like this mental aspect. Like Clay brings in like the environment. He creates that chemistry and he's really good at bringing a team together. As opposed to like, he's not like this amazing player, but he knows how to format a team that wins.
Yeah. I mean, this is very on brand for Crim to say. I mean, and again, this comes down to the point where it's like, is he trolling? Is he not? I think he's serious.
And like the last month, he has gassed up Hecz so hard. Like out of like, it's insane. Like Hecz must be feeling on top of the world right now.
I love it. And I mean, he kind of replied to like Hecz, who was like, totally. And then Crim was like, he was quoting like haters by saying, like, you're dumb, don't like shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And then Crim's like, you know, maybe I played 600 days with Hecz and 1,000 with Scump, maybe I'm qualified. So I mean, to be fair, none of us are as qualified to talk about Scump and Hecz as Crim, obviously. But
is there?
I mean, Crim does it to stir the pot, 100%.
Of course,
100%. And he does a good job of it.
That's what's gonna get like people are gonna look at that.
I mean, this is some quality stuff right here for Tactical Rab to cover. I mean, I'm jealous. You know, I'm jealous of the daily news videos, and Crim's providing constant content. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, Prime Hecz. There's a reason why in our all-time drafts video we were drafting Prime Hecz a lot in like Ghost Hecz, BO2 Hecz. He was nasty back then, and there's something to say for that. But at the same time, you know, when you're looking at like Scump and AW,
he did win World War II
BO3,
champs, didn't he? He was on that team.
I mean, Hecz won World War II with Silly and Assault and Apathy. You know, I wouldn't say that qualifies as Prime Hecz.
It's not, but he still won though.
He did.
The outlier
and at
year.
that point, he was not like he wasn't Prime Hecz, but like he still was the player he is who was able to create those environments of winning, and they did it in World War II.
Yeah, no, I mean,
the underdog
for sure.
But was that a fluke?
I mean, they got hot. Obviously, that's how it goes. But
and the easier road too. But you know.
I mean, I'd imagine most people would still say that Scump in AW is greater than Hecz in Ghost and BO2. But again, there is the debate where like the AW movement and things like that created for such flashy plays. Scump was a superstar at that point. So like he's going to have the attention. of people no matter what. So there is something to that versus like Hecz in BO2 and Ghost, who was obviously dominant, and it's not as flashy of plays. There's not as much footage of it nowadays that survived throughout the years.
Yeah, I suppose he's coming off of if you put Scump and Hecz and you told them both to create a team and lead the team, who's going to win?
In their prime, who's going to win? And you could argue that, maybe it is Hecz who could win more tournaments if in their prime. But again, if you told Crim build the best team around Scump and around Hecz, I think you could build a better team around Scump.
Probably, yeah.
You know, like that's kind of my thought. It's like if you were like, and they could win more, but like Scump, yes, there's moments where he doesn't always show the most like whole thought out approach to playing COD, but he's really good. He has good instincts and he wins gunfights. And that matters. I mean,
it does matter.
That can win you games. And that's why, and there's a reason why him playing with Crim and playing with Karma and having form, like there's a reason why that worked. Yeah. And that was why it worked.
Absolutely. And like, yeah, it's just two different roles, I guess you could say, really, too, is because like Crim and Karma were playing that Hecz role for Scump. Yeah. And so would you consider, I don't know. It's a back and forth argument. At the end of the day, it matters about what you prefer to see as a star player. Do you prefer more of the leadership qualities? Do you prefer more of the intensity of the mind games? Like I should say,
game leaders, the communication,
or do you prefer more of just the raw talent, slaying?
Yeah. And you need both to win. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you need both to win.
On this podcast, we obviously go back and forth between
both and the value of
leadership
both.
and the value of both. It's a never ending battle.
And if
honestly.
you don't have the comms and the leadership and the game calling and the composure to win, you're not going to. So you need both. And there's a reason why they were a dominant dynasty for all those years. And Crim brings an incredibly valuable aspect to a team. And we're starting to see that with Dallas now. So after that insanely long convo,
yes,
it was very fun. What else do we got here in the news, Rex? Do we have anything else here?
One last thing.
Okay.
So there's quite a quick thing. On the flank, Ben said that when Cellium was, I think it was Black Ops 4 and then going into Modern Warfare, like nobody really wanted to play with Cellium.
Yeah, they said a lot of people turned down the opportunity to play with Cellium.
Yeah, people turned down the opportunity to play with Cellium, and that's how he sort of ended up on FaZe. And now look at Cellium now. He's amazing. And people were kind of mind blown. Like, how could they not have wanted to play with Cellium?
Did you see his birthday video to Arcides?
I didn't know. That dude is interesting. Play a lot.
He said he'd be giving him his present later with a wink.
Oh my God.
Dude. Cellium is a scary man.
Oh man, that dude's comedy, man.
Yeah.
But Octane did confirm that he was not one of these players.
Oh, okay.
And in the Reddit replies, he's like, he was like, "Yeah, man, I there's no chance I would turn that down." But I don't know, man. It is interesting. I wonder what the stigma was exactly. Whether it was just that he wasn't a great teammate, whether it was that he's just young and immature.
I think in a way it's like he wasn't proven, because at the start of Black Ops 4, he wasn't like amazing. But near the end, he started looking really good. But I guess maybe people were still kind of on the fence about, is that actually going to keep carrying over?
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was a debate that they had in the flank with Ben and Zuma talking about like how he took a chance on Cellium. And then some of the guys were like, what do you mean, bro? Cellium was already insane. And Zuma's like, no, he was not. Not until he joined FaZe did he be really going to see how good he was. And I'm like, that's pretty fair. I mean, again, he was on FaZe Black and won a lot of those tournaments with them, like as amateurs. It makes sense, but my goodness, the people. I mean, obviously, I'd imagine Abizi and Simp are pretty freaking happy they're playing with Cellium, because this weekend, oh my, he was insane. He was insane, and he's making plays. You're like, dude, this is unreal.
Oh
yeah.
Sure. Let me find this here. Okay. All right. And for the last piece of news.
Oh man, this is juicy.
This is nice. Our own SalvationsElite posted a video about the next Call of Duty. Call of Duty Vanguard has been rumored. There's been a few things that may
I don't know who that guy
or
is.
may not be coming
Leak your
back.
sources.
Who is he?
And it's Josh. Do you want to take it away here?
I don't know. Well, I mean, again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you heard about Vanguard and the thoughts on the news that's come out about Vanguard. What are your thoughts?
Here's my take. So,
supposedly what it's called.
Yeah. I think this might be a hotter take. I don't know, because I think people do not like
the competitive community's down bad
on tax sprint and such. I think Modern Warfare was one of the most technically fun games. I enjoyed the movement. I enjoyed the gun, the
gun mechanics.
The gun mechanics. I enjoyed the guns. It was there.
The issues
were the maps, the spawns, and the rank support league play were not there.
And then like the gunsmith's not great.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you take Modern Warfare mechanics, everything about that, but then you add in developer support,
better maps.
You have a more than solid competitive game.
I agree.
And if we know
better dev team.
And if we know things with Sledgehammer, people love World War II rank system.
And they at least somewhat care about us.
Exactly. So I am going to say that I am hyped.
Ooh.
Upcoming.
See, that was so before you go, I was a little bit like surprised about how negative of a reaction it was, considering the previous news that we had about this game.
Yeah.
Where Tom Henderson had put out that it is like getting bodied. This game's gonna release. To be fair, he did say that there's still a pretty high chance that it's only releases with 8 or 9 maps, which is like that's not great.
Used to it at this point,
right? But that's what we're kind of just. I mean, at this point sucks. And then with just the realistic expectations that Warzone is right now king in COD, and they want to make it an easier, smoother transition, and something that's really caused Cold War to suffer is that there's pros can't play Cold War and play Warzone. The movement is too different.
Yep.
And so there is an aspect of like, you want the Warzone community to be able to easily hop on Cold War and play it, or the new COD, and be able to play it and do those things. And so in my head, like with where we are as a competitive community right now and where COD is with Warzone being as popular as it is, I think it's probably the best move you can make is to keep it very similar to Warzone's movement, and then do your best to build on that with more support and hopefully giving us better spawns and those types of things, better maps.
Because think about this. Tim the Tap Man tweeted at Scump, "Hey, let's play some Warzone sometime."
Yeah.
Scump replied, "I'm sorry, I can't because the movement is too different."
I can't play.
You cannot play. So
they only played in the long bye weeks.
I think it's about time. Hear me out. I think it's about time we try to coexist with Warzone as a competitive team.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's not going to work for us if we try to separate ourselves completely from Warzone. It's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, and this is exactly my thought, and this is why I'm not surprised at all that this is what I heard from the person, was that these are very similar. Because again, we heard from Johanna Ferries before that they want to align with Warzone, that they want these to be one and the same, that Warzone can coexist with competitive COD in a nice, great way.
Yes.
And right now it's literally impossible. Pros don't want to play it because it's so different. So it only makes sense that we're playing on an engine with very similar movement, and that then pros could justify playing it again. So Rex, what are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Honestly, I'm more excited about it, honestly, from this. I did prefer Modern Warfare if I'm playing casually, to be honest. Cold War is a little bit dry, in my opinion.
What causes that, do you think?
I guess the simple gunplay, the movement was just so much more, I don't know, fluid and just more interesting in Modern Warfare.
Do you like the tac sprint, or how do you feel about the tac sprint? The biggest issue is auto tac sprint and the whole GAs of auto tac sprint, and the fact that if it is back, then we have a lot of issues with competitive with GAs and how that could look. And
I feel like this is very reminiscent of what people were saying during the jetpack era. During the jetpack era, people were just so upset everyone hated jetpacks. They wanted boots on the ground, and everyone was screaming that. And then it happened. And now here we are thinking, Man, I kind of want jetpacks back.
Well, then we got World War II and everyone was pissed. Like, this is the most boring game of all time, blah, 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 blah. Like, you're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, and so with Tactical Sprint, I think at least it adds a level of maybe like speed or something to it that just is more eye-catching in a sense.
The only problem is that it wrecks your freaking L3 button. That's the biggest problem. Oh, my.
Can we just agree to allow auto attack sprint?
See, I'm down because
that'd be so nice.
I don't want to spend another $200 on another Scuff.
No, I'm good.
Dude, Scuff is hyped probably. They're like, Battle and Scuff are like, yes, all of these new controllers.
Listen, I've got diapers to buy. I can't be buying Scuff.
For yourself.
For myself.
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to poop when I'm playing Call of Duty.
Oh, that was Rex. They're getting in the pod. Oh, no. Where was your diaper when you needed it the most?
God. But with field, there's going to be field upgrades again. And then Gunsmith returning. I'm not sure how I feel about Gunsmith so much.
I so wish we could revert back. Again, with the aligning with Warzone, I get it. I wish we just have like 2 attachments.
Yeah, to be fair, the Gunsmith in Modern Warfare was at least cooler than Cold Wars because you could like change the guns in different guns and stuff. That was at least cool. Like you could turn the AK into a 74U and then also into like an LMG. You know, so that was pretty cool. But I don't know. I'm still a little torn on that. But like versus the news that we got that this was basically a World War II remake with a skin of Cold War, that it's definitely much more close to Modern Warfare.
Yeah,
I think it's positive news just for the sake of the pace of the game. And just those types of things with the alignment of Warzone. Like imagine if we were playing CoD World War II, literally CoD World War II this year, and there was Warzone out.
Yeah.
No one's playing CoD. No one. So that's the problem. And that's why you had to align it with what Warzone is. And that's why I think this makes a lot of sense.
I wish they would do something with trying to bring specialists back in somehow, some way. It just adds a level of depth where I think field upgrades, which should be coming back. Field upgrades should be coming back in this as well, which we'll probably see Dead Silence in there again. Unless they're doing something crazy where the field upgrades are actually going to be more of like, heat wave type stuff.
That'd be hard to imagine for World War II.
I know people hated that whole Dead Silence thing, but it did add a level of interest when watching an S&D. It's like, oh, that person's got their Dead Silence here. They can make a big play. It
was fun in S&D.
Because you run a little bit faster. You can make a weird flank route. You can, it was really fun in S&D.
For the problem. The sound whoring in like, if you play Control with no Dead Silence, how do you're going to get sound whored every time. It's like, those are the issues that like the questions that I have. So hopefully it's a perk. And if it's a perk, then I think we're in a pretty good spot. Yeah. And hopefully it's like actual Dead Silence. And I'd be hyped. So those are the things that I get excited about. I mean, other things that maybe anything else from that gets you excited about the future of COD. I mean, last year the alpha didn't come out till I think September. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's about the same this year. Yeah. So maybe right after champs, like the first week of September, second week of September, somewhere in there. Yeah. That would make a lot of sense. I have no intel on that.
It'll be interesting to see too with the release of Battlefield and Halo 2. What's going to do? That's the only thing that's going to be rough.
If COD tries to play around it at all.
Yeah.
If they go earlier in November
or earlier, I think that'd be the best thing to do is like October. If honestly,
you can get it in October, give yourself as many weeks as possible.
Get it in the hands early.
Get that league play out. Get people embraced and ingrained into playing your league play.
Yeah.
Before you lose
the
Battlefield
and Halo. I
hope
they bring CTF back.
I hope so too. I want to see it
London
back.
Dock CTF.
But again, you gotta have good Dead Silence for that. So hopefully we can make that happen. So we'll see.
That's it. That's it for the news.
It's crazy.
At least.
So, we are doing a very fun segment next.
Very scary.
Very scary segment, which I forgot to promote at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, how could you not?
I don't know, but it was in the title at least. So, we are doing an overrated or underrated segment. It could get interesting. So our fantastic producer Amari will be popping in some players that we're going to be debating. But first, we got to hit the drop.
We do.
And today, are these players the best in the game? Nah. Let's play a game. How about we play a game today?
Let's play.
Hello, you play to win the game.
Alrighty, so today, I mean, we're playing to win the game, but at the end of the day, the game is not to be won or lost. The game is to be as accurate as possible. And so we got to debate whether or not these players are overrated or underrated. And again, there's a lot of factors here. We've done some conversations like this before, but never these this direct. And we don't know which players we're talking about today.
You're not this direct.
So we actually don't know what players we're talking about because Amari will be the one dropping the bombs for us here. And again, at the end of the day, we're trying to debate the market, kind of where the people are at with these players, and then their talent and how good they are. And we're going in blind. So this could get real spicy. And so Amari, hit us with the first player today. Drum roll, please. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so
I can't hear Amari first thing.
No. He typed it in the chat. So the first player up is Silly. So I guess the debate is, what do people think about Silly? And where's this player? Well, you know, where's he at? So does anyone have a direct thought off the rip here?
Should we take more into account the public's opinion or players' opinion? Because this one for sure, there's a hard swing.
Oh, interesting.
On the public opinion.
If I'm being honest, I feel like he's placed pretty well in people's, like, not like good, just like where he's at in people's minds, which I think people kind of think
interesting.
I think the totem pole.
I think people think he is not good at all, especially when he's in replies on Twitter.
Yeah,
he's always getting roasted.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, he fires back at the people really well.
Definitely.
I love it.
But like that's what I'm asking is, compared to COD Reddit's view of Silly, or compared to the pros' view of Silly?
Yeah, compared to COD Reddit, compared to Twitter, compared to the pros.
What do you think the pros' view of Silly?
I think the pros
view of Silly is okay, like good. I think the public opinion on Silly is that he is horrible.
I mean, not very many people really play with them. Like Assault plays with them, and then
well, I mean, we haven't really seen him. I think pros think he's a solid player.
Yes.
I don't think pros think he sucks.
No.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, again, we've only seen now one tournament with him back on AR again, and he played at least okay. It wasn't awful.
I'll say he's underrated.
I would lean underrated just because the tables have turned so hard on him the past 4 months.
I think it's hard to say overrated because I think like the hate he gets is like
so unwarranted.
It's unwarranted amount where it's like, okay, he's like, you know, you can say what you want, but like he's not that bad. So like,
yeah, and again, he's one of those guys who in the past he's been a true flex, but this year we've seen him play so much better with an AR than an SMG, and then bringing in Chino. He did say on Reddit that it wasn't like necessarily the team's decision to bring in Chino. It was more of an executive decision, and same goes for when they dropped Chino. It wasn't the players making that call. It was apparently the coaching staff, apparently. So that put him in a pretty tough spot to try to play with an SMG. I think you got to cut him a little bit of slack. So that's why I would say underrated.
Agreed.
But we do need to see more from him here heading into these next few weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good. That wasn't too bad right there. All right, Amari, what do we got for our second one here, man? I'm looking forward to this. Next up is Neptune. Ooh, very fun. Okay, so this gets interesting because where's the public's opinion on Neptune at this point? Obviously, Florida.
I think it's high.
It's pretty high. But is it to the... How high? Is it too high?
Yeah.
What do the pros think of it?
Opinion, Sam? Do you have an opinion off the rip?
Yeah. So here's where I think that he could be overrated. I think people's opinion on him, obviously he made some flashy plays in the past stage.
In the past few stages.
And so I think people think that
flashy.
he's compared to where he was at the beginning of the year versus now, obviously we've seen improvement. And so maybe people have taken that improvement and maybe gassed it up too much. And so maybe that's where the overrated comes from, because really, what has Florida accomplished?
Yeah, right. I mean,
when you look at it overall, not much. Especially with talent such as Skyz and Big Wake on that team.
Right. They've been so close so many times just to getting there.
Yeah. So I would honestly, as much as I love my Neptune, I think he might be overrated.
Man, that's tough. I really do lean properly rated here.
It's a slight overrated.
I mean, I can get behind overration.
Overration.
I can get behind that.
What do you think the pros' perspective of him is?
I think it could be a little split right now.
I think it's split.
Some players probably think this guy's getting dangerous, really scary.
There isn't a lot of talk about him though.
No,
really, there isn't.
No.
And it kind of feels like Shotzzy-esque vibe, but in Modern Warfare, where
before Dallas started winning.
Yeah, where like sort of like he was good, and you could tell he was good, but there were just some stupid things that he would do that you're like, I don't know if that was, it just seemed like not a good play. Yeah, you looked smooth and fast like an ice skater, but don't know if you should even gone over there.
Right.
He's got great movement.
I mean, some of the plays he's been making in S&D lately, though, I mean,
S&D for sure.
They're impressive. I didn't think he'd be anywhere near this point. Even at this late in the year, I still didn't think he'd be at this point with S&D because we didn't see guys like Shotzzy really hang it or get it as quick as him.
Yeah.
And he's played really, really good S&D this year. So that's where I kind of lean like maybe he is this good.
Yeah.
It's really, the problem is I don't have a good gauge for where the public is on this guy. Because some guys are like, this guy is the future. And then some guys are like, he's so overrated. Yeah. So I'm leaning properly. I would maybe pick underrated.
You have to pick. You can't say properly rated.
I'm going to go 51% underrated.
There you go.
Because I actually think Neptune might be the real deal. But the problem is if they don't start winning, like competing at a top 4 level here soon, then it's like, okay, what's the problem here? I mean, is it Havoc? Is there a team play issue with the ARs? But if they start winning, the hype on Neptune's going to be insane.
That's where my decision comes from, is that their performance does not match.
Right. But is that a Neptune problem?
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
The casters are high on Neptune. That's for sure.
Oh,
the casters
he's flashy, so
Neptune.
he creates something to talk about, you know? But yeah.
So Rex, what's your final say?
What's your final answer?
Where the perspective that, I mean, I had the impression that people, like even fans, thought he was like this amazing player, like really, really good. So I was leaning overrated. But if the theme is even that no one's even thinking or talking about him, then I think that's an underration.
It's like when the matches are going on, he's talked about, but
not much after.
Not after.
No.
You know? But again, it has been inconsistent overall with the whole squad, and that's why it gets tough sometimes. But I mean, some of the plays that Neptune made again this weekend, I was just like, wow, this is some real nice COD. So
I think for now, I'm going to say overrated, but I think he hasn't even reached his peak yet. I think he can get really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, there was some insane plays, like that 3-piece in round 2 on Moscow versus Seattle. Oof. And then some of these plays right here on Apocalypse against Seattle were really nice too. Yep. But yeah, okay, I love that one. So, Amari, what do we got next? We're freaking on fire. We're killing this.
Fire.
And the third is interesting. ASIM. Okay, so Rex, where are the people at with ASIM?
They love ASIM.
Recently, I think
they love ASIM.
Yeah, of course we love ASIM, but I think recently there is going to be some slander against him because New York has been losing. And just the way that they did lose against OpTic as well. But I'm gonna say underrated in that case.
Ooh, interesting.
Because I still think he's a really good player. Especially from where he was in Modern Warfare to where he is now. He's a necessity for the team. And I think people are going to have a bad view of him right now. So I'm going to go, he is underrated.
Sam?
I think he's underrated too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the public's pretty freaking high on Neptune, though.
But recently, though, is the public high on him.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, ASIM.
The heck? We're past that.
I'm sorry, man.
Jeez, cut the whole thing.
It's over. End it here. I don't know. I mean, on the year, people are really high on him. Are people that low on him after 2-3 weeks?
Here's a question for you.
That's how the COD scene is, dude.
Here's a question for you.
I don't know.
Like one bad series, 2 bad series, it's over. Whole thing's chalk, team's trash. Until the next series, when they smoke a good team, they're like, they're amazing again.
Right. I don't feel good about calling him overrated because I do think he's a really, really good player. But like, I don't think he's like a bona fide top 5 SMG. And some people would say he might be like right there with like Hydra. But I do think Hydra's better.
That's my question is, would you rather have Hydra or Asim?
I'd rather have Hydra, but
that's where I think he's underrated.
I do want Clay on the team. Can I get Clay with Hydra? Because I want the combo.
No. See, that's where my underrated comes from, because if you say Hydra, you'd rather have Hydra than Asim. I think there's an argument to be made that you'd rather have Asim than Hydra.
Well,
and that's where my underrated.
Sam. That's the emotional aspect of the game.
I would even argue skill-wise though too. Asim's incredible in this game. He's incredible.
Asim looks really incredible. Really good, but I think Hydra makes some...
But Hydra makes some mistakes too though.
Hydra makes like mistakes, but it's... I mean, his gun, like, I don't know, in a 1v1, Hydra just got to be the scariest, like super scary to go against.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, he is competitive with Simp and Abizi in my mind.
Hydra. He is.
On the 1v1, but if you're talking about, who do you want right now in Cold War, Asim or Hydra? I think I'd pick Asim.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That's why I think he's underrated.
If like we're playing Cold War and that's it, and I'm
right
not
now
looking for the future, right now. Asim. But if we're going into like the next game, I'm probably taking Hydra.
I am basing my decision right now.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch that series against LAT in maps too?
Here it is. Here's the recency.
Recency bias.
Two bad series. You can't tell me New York
I was going to gas up Hydra. I got distracted by the Hydra combo. I was about to gas up Hydra because that control and that hard point, the garrison control and the garrison hard point. I think it was both garrison. Hydra was twisted.
Hydra was twisted, bro.
Well, for sure.
It looked like there was moments where he was like, I literally am wondering, was I watching in 1.25 speed? Like I wasn't sure, and I went and checked. I literally checked because I wasn't exactly sure.
It's a hot take. Listen, it's a hot take. I know. Roast me in the comments.
Yeah, roast him, please.
Please do. But that's where my rating comes from. Underrated.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it. Don't try to change my mind.
See, I just think the public's really high on him, like a bona fide top 5, and so. Maybe I'm misjudging the public.
Really? Like, see, that's not the vibe I get from the public.
I would
think
lean
people
on
like him a lot, but it's like they like, you know.
I would lean probably. I think it's pretty fair with the public pretty properly rated, but I would lean the slightest. Please don't quote me on the slightest overrated, but it's very minor.
We were the opposite, Josh. I like it.
Yeah, I do like that. Good stuff there.
Great.
All right. Well, that was a nice one.
Yeah.
What do we got here next, Amari? Number 4. Vetus.
Oh, not inside.
Oh, my word. What are you doing to us?
Josh and Rex. I want to hear.
This is interesting because what does the public think of Insight? This is a fun combo because I'm actually not sure what the public thinks about Insight.
I mean, people were really, really high on him for a while, but recently it's kind of been quiet.
It's cooled down a little bit.
To see.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Sam, lead the way.
Yeah, I mean, Insight's probably overrated in my mind.
Really?
Oh, hey there.
What?
Welcome to the show.
World, you think he's the top AR?
I do think
so. You think you're
AR,
overrating him?
People think he's like real. Like honestly, there's not really AR in the game that I think.
How can you possibly say that if you think he's the top AR?
Maybe people think he's more than the top AR.
I can't say he's underrated. If he's number 1, I can't say underrated. There's nothing to be under.
Well, you can view it off of the public opinion.
The public is underrated.
It's like maybe you think he's top, but public thinks he's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Or 4.
Or no.
No, don't go that far. No, but hey, this is the decision.
No, yeah.
There's an argument to be made if he's top AR.
The higher up on the chain you are, the more likely you're going to get an overrated view.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, maybe. I mean, sure, if the public is high on them.
Yeah.
So
depends.
It's tough again because I do think Insight's really, really, really good. And in the majority of the public's mind right now, I do think people think he's a top 2 AR, which I think he's a top 2 AR.
Yeah. Do you think they
think it's about right?
Do you think they give Ultra success mostly to Insight, or do you think it's more about Clinics and Cammy?
I think the initial success was Insight.
It was.
I think it's now formed into more of like a team thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm saying underrated.
How?
I think he's underrated because I don't think, as of right now,
enough of the public.
I don't think he gets enough hype for what Ultra is still doing to this day. I think they formed it,
True.
And right or wrong,
I mean, he played.
It is
pretty
for
well.
sure. It is for sure a team thing, but to say Insight isn't the majority reason why Toronto Ultra is doing really well, I think is wrong. And so the fact that the public doesn't think that, or I think that the public is cooled down on him, I think that's an underration. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. Underration and overration.
I actually like that saying. I'm going to go underrated as well because people don't talk about him enough.
No, not right now. They don't. They did.
You're right.
Yeah, it's really close, man. Side note, it was like in that first hard point on raid, like because again, Minnesota beat Toronto on that raid hard point. You're like, oh my,
that's crazy.
This is crazy. And then Toronto kicked it into gear and played great. And like Insight was like getting bodied for that first half, and then they almost came back and won it because Insight started frying in the second half of that raid hard point. You're like, oh, here we go, here we go.
What can you say?
Yeah, and it was fun to watch, but I don't know. It's really close. I would lean. I mean, I feel like I have to say overrated just because of my argument last time around.
You don't have to say that,
but I'm really close again. I think he's a top 2 AR in the game, so it's like I think that's what people think. So maybe I just stick with properly rated.
You can't be a fence
You can't do properly.
You can't do that.
The rules no properly rated.
I
would say properly rated.
The rules of this game do not allow that.
I hate that.
Well, that's the way they are.
I'm 51% overrated then, but that's terrible.
Oh my
I hate
word.
that.
You
I hate that.
literally are the worst.
Josh just wants to ride the fence.
He literally
he wants us to take all the backlash.
Yeah, please. Can you guys take some really hot fire stances?
Just the
That'd be
worst.
great. Yeah, so you guys take some really hot fire stances.
Golly.
I'll ride the fence and take no heat at all. You guys take all the heat, and we're in a great spot.
Rex, we need to get paid more, bro.
I can up the pay a little bit from 0 to 1.
0 to 1, maybe.
Yeah. So, Amari, what do we got next, baby? We've had some fire, so I'm looking forward to this one.
These are really good players. I'm glad he's picking these people.
Nice job, Amari.
Yeah. Now Kenny's next up. Okay, man. This is another guy who's tough to gauge for the public perception because
he was hot for a while.
Oh, I mean, when he changed to AR, the public was like, "This dude's the best in the game."
Now, I will say for a fact he was overrated because they were like, "He's a top 2 AR." I'm like, okay,
that was overration.
Let's pump the brakes just a little bit.
Yes,
he's good, but you can't say he's top 2.
Yeah, I agree.
But the question is now.
But now LAT's kind of starting to catch heat. It's kind of hard to gauge where the public's at after just one day of them playing this weekend. Obviously, they beat New York.
And all of a sudden, they're catching heat.
Yeah. I mean, they played really well. I mean, 2 series.
They do look better. I'll give them that. Like, the way they played was better. 100%.
And John came out with flames.
I mean, really, it's about Draza.
It's about Draza.
Draza's
phenomenal player.
She's looking insane.
I think it's clear he should have never been dropped in the first place.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Kenny, though.
We are talking about Kenny. It gets tough. Right now, I would lean underrated somehow. Just because of
on the same boat.
LAT's, just the people seem to be pretty low on LAT still because of the negative publicity after their failure with scrims. Obviously, we fell victim to that as well.
Well, and guess who could still be number 2 in Group A? LA Thieves.
Yeah, Sam, you idiot for saying. People were roasting Sam. We were going to talk about this in the intelligent and relevant segment.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
It was a good pull.
It does.
Anyways.
How far does podcast are we?
I'll do underrated. I'll say underrated. I think we're at as well.
I think we're at an hour. By the way.
Are we? Oh,
yes.
it's not even bad.
We're at an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even bad. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to lean slightly underrated.
Okay. Underrated for me.
Okay, so it's a sweep.
Definitely, because I think he is a phenomenal position. He's in a great position to be one of the best second ARs.
And he's been steadfast on the year. Obviously, they've had some struggles, but I really do think Kenny's a really good player.
Oh, definitely. And considering, too, kind of how his stock went down after World War II. Definitely, it did.
Oh, I mean, last year. Really down.
Absolutely went down. So I think he's climbing up, and I don't think he gets enough recognition. He got too much recognition when he went to main AR. But now it's a different story.
Now we're in a good spot.
Spot.
So now he's underrated. So I love that one for sure. So, all right, we're flying
Let's keep rolling.
We're in rhythm.
Let's keep rolling.
So hit us with the next one, baby, because we're feeling good. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay.
Overrated.
Priestahh.
Right away.
Overrated.
I have a bone
overrated
to
as well.
pick with Priestahh. I had so much writing on Priestahh.
You were hyped about Priestahh.
I was hyped. Listen, I don't want to be like that guy. You know,
of course not. You're a Priestahh fan.
Yeah, I do like Priestahh, but something is wrong. Something's wrong with Priestahh.
It's been the rockiest of roads.
It has been
for
the
past few
rockiest
months
of road ice cream.
Like he'll have like a good map,
Yeah.
but like he never has back-to-back good maps.
No, I know it's there though. It's there. The skill is there.
Yeah. Some of the plays that Standy made on that raid hardpoint against Rocker. Oh. And again, we'll talk about this more later, but like again, they were so close to beating so close to beating the Ultra.
I want to do
their last series.
I want to do a thesis into what happened with Priestahh.
Yeah, we should do a deep dive.
We should do a deep dive on Priestahh.
I like it.
Because you think about him on FaZe.
Is the public really that high on Priestahh though right now?
Here's the thing. When Priestahh was on FaZe, I don't think I was still like super impressed by him.
Rex was really low on Priestahh on FaZe.
I was super high on Priestahh on FaZe.
I was high on Priestahh at FaZe by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I ever got high on Priestahh.
Is the public that high on Priestahh?
No one talks
right
about
now?
Priestahh. No one talks about Priestahh.
I think people are high on Priestahh. I really do.
Really?
Because there's no, like, he's over, like, in my mind, I'm with Sam, it's overrated.
It's hard to say
he's like, oh yeah, he's so good, he's so great. But he's been disappointing.
Honestly, he's overrated, and I was the one who overrated him. I am the villain of my own
You're calling
story.
yourself out here?
Example.
I am the villain of the story, and I'll admit it.
But like, what's holding him back from being the Priestahh we know and love?
It feels like a fire in the belly issue.
No.
It's gotta be
no.
Well, I don't know why.
Because wrong.
Because it's wrong.
Because he's overrated. So we're overrating him.
Is it
I
a
mean,
fire?
look at him in black. Like, I don't think maybe he's not happy
In
with
Black
the
Ops 4, he was
organization.
nasty.
Is it a fire issue? It
Or
could
a
be a fire in the
chemistry
belly
thing?
issue.
No.
Like, I
can't
don't
be
think
the
he has
role,
the
'cause
right
he's-
people around him to be excited. Like, I feel like he's just not excited.
I was surprised the Rocker didn't try to switch roles again. They stuck with it. But
Well,
I don't know, on
because
AR,
then you think about 100 Thieves, and he was so good on 100 Thieves.
again, Priestahh should be a true flex, but the problem is this game doesn't benefit him at all to do
No.
that. And that puts him in a tough spot. So that's why the public, I feel like the public's really low on Priestahh right now. I mean,
don't get that vibe though.
really?
Tell us in the
I just-
comment section.
Yeah, I
what
want
you
to know what the
I
public thinks
just
about
don't even
Priestahh.
know who talks about him. I don't even hear anything.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
No one talks about
really
Priestahh.
talks.
If they're talking about the Rocker, they're talking about Standy, and that's all. That's it.
But if you bring
Yeah.
up Priestahh in a conversation, I feel like most people are like, yeah, he's really good.
But the thing is, I do think he's a good player.
Great. We think every pro in the pro league is a good player. We need to know if they're overrated or underrated.
Rex is tired of this.
I mean,
He's
the
tired of your
Rocker
fence-
has been one of
he's
the most
tired of your fence sitting. Okay,
but the Rocker had
Overrated.
been very competitive on the year.
it's overrated.
The problem is, I just don't get the vibe that the public thinks he's overrated because I feel like he's properly rated.
Stop.
So I'm
This is
gonna go.
ridiculous.
Overrated. You know
Just
he's
say it.
overrated.
Just say it.
I'll go 51% overrated.
Oh my
All
word!
right.
At least he said it. Jeez.
But I don't. I think there's still a ton of potential for Priestahh, and I don't think we haven't seen the best of the Rocker yet. We might have just started to see
we
it
have
now.
seen the best of the Rocker.
Really?
Right when
At the beginning
Sandy
of the year?
joined. No, right when Sandy joined.
I mean, people were talking about people dialing in on Standy's tendencies and things along those lines, which is, I mean, that's a fair argument
Mm-hmm.
considering he plays a lot like Envoy.
I swear, if they win champs, it would be
That would be sick.
that'd be ridiculous.
That would be sick.
Honestly, this past homestand, I thought Rocker actually looked better than what we've seen them in a while.
Well, I mean, again, there's moments where Rocker do look nice. And I mean, to be fair, they played
LAG.
LAG and they did drop a hard point to LAG, and that's a bad sign.
Ooh,
It was
I guess
Garrison.
that's true. So maybe I shouldn't take so much stock into that.
Yeah, but then they beat Toronto on a hard point. So then you're like, well, there you go. Okay,
That's
so
funny.
that's why they're really hard to judge and gauge. But I don't know. I'm not as low on the rocker maybe as some are, but
At the end of the day,
that's the thing. So, alrighty, what we got next?
Overrated.
That was a tough one. That was a really, really tough one. That hurt me to say, to even have the word
I think
come out of
all
my
these
mouth.
have hurt you to say.
Yeah, they have. They all hurt me to say.
51%.
It's terrible.
51%.
So let's see. Our next up here is there has been some talk on the subreddit as of late about Zaptius.
Zaptius.
And that is our next player up here. People are obviously low on Zaptius right now.
Very low.
So is it overrated? Is it underrated?
Are they not low enough?
Has your opinions been changing lately? Where are you at with Zaptius?
I want to be 100% honest. On the Ravens, I was expecting more from Zaptius, especially since he was able to team with Paul and they were on West R together.
Yeah,
when
the
West R
potential
was like
there.
the best. And I was like, okay, this could be something special. But he really didn't. He didn't impress me like Paul impressed me coming into the league.
Oh, yeah. Paul showed some special X factor, some clutch ability in S&D and making big time plays, popping 2 pieces, 3 pieces. Like that's where you get excited about that type of stuff.
Yeah. But you have to
Zaptius
look at
hasn't
the
been as
job.
flashy.
Look at the job Zaptius has, though. He goes into Ravens as a sub, and then he goes to Paris as a sub. And just playing a sub in general on a bad team is just going to be more difficult. Like, you're just not going to look as good.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, you can't sit here and say that we've seen the flashes from Zaptius, but I don't think the people don't think that either. And again, at the end of the day, we're having to judge the people's opinions on players. But
I'm going to be 80% honest. I'm going to be 100% honest. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, let's hear it.
80% honest.
Let's all,
It didn't even hit me right away. I was looking at the stats
figure
here.
out which part is he not being honest about. Where's that 20% at? Let's hear it.
Figure out the 20%.
We're all being 80% honest around here, guys. You got to decipher everything we're saying.
Oh gosh.
So does that mean you're normally like 50% honest and you're really getting honest?
I'm gonna up it up.
Or
here
are
a little.
you normally 100% honest and you're being a little dishonest?
I'm normally half honest. I'm gonna up it up for you guys here.
Oh, great.
No, I think people are too low on Zaptius. I think he was put in 2 tough situations. He came on a 2 to 4 week 2-week contracts.
2 2-week contracts with London.
That's gonna be hard to come in and try to change that around. Then you get moved to Paris,
A team who's already struggling.
a team who's already struggling, and I think he's trying. I think Zaptius is a guy that's gonna try to fit into the team and not be confident enough.
He's a caged beast.
to do his thing. I think he's a little bit
You
caged.
getting that vibe?
So I think he's underrated. I'm gonna stick with that.
Man, it's hard to say he's overrated just because the public is so low on him right now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm getting held up here because
Mhm.
do I think Zaptius is some like world star player right now? No.
Maybe not.
But is he better than like the worst player in the league? Which is what I think what some people think he is.
Mhm.
I do think that. So maybe I would lean.
If people think he's the worst player in the league,
That is what
they're
the
out of
Reddit
their
was saying
minds.
today. That's what the Reddit was saying today.
Well, they're out of their minds, so then he's overrated or he's underrated.
On the Reddit, they were like, Zap doesn't deserve a spot next year, should not be a pro. So I
I still
guess
don't know
it
how you
kind of
can say
depends on
that.
how you think about Zap moving
I don't
forward.
know how you can say that with where he's been at. I don't know.
I mean,
Again,
he was
I
on
still
the
think-
Ravens' best squad. When Ravens was actually
That's my
looking
thought.
better,
It's-
he was on that team. When he left,
I can't believe the Ravens
got
let him
worse.
go.
And
How
then
would you
when
not
he's
let
on-
that play out?
And then
Again,
Paris was
insane.
already a losing team, so it
Again,
was like
I will do the day I die be baffled by Ravens' decision to bring on Afro and Alex and get rid of
Well,
Zed.
Afro's good.
But yeah, but with
If you brought in Afro, kept Zaptius with Paul, and just had Shawnee, that
rid
could
of
work.
Zed,
I would have kept
That's-
Zed over Zaptius. I'll say that.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I guess it's really just Zed. That dude
Zed
deserved
got-
to be on
man,
London.
Zed
He,
got
Zed got
scummed.
so
he got
screwed.
hosed, bro.
He got hosed so bad.
He didn't deserve that. He looked
No.
actually good.
And Alex
Like, he
just
could
has
be
not
on
been
other
playing well.
teams and look good.
Yeah, that's really tough. So I don't know. I guess I'll lean
I think you
underrated.
have to
'Cause
say
I just do
underrated.
think that people are insanely low
Yeah.
on him. Like he should be dropped type situation from
Yeah.
Paris. And I don't think that's fair
No.
for
No.
because there's a lot of blame to go around on that team right now. So, all right, Amari, let's do one more, and then we'll head on to predictions. So, what do you got for us for the last one here, baby? Pull out the spiciest one you got.
Caesar Skyz Bueno.
How much are you investing in your game? So,
a ton.
Skyz.
Interesting. What is people's opinion on Skyz right now? Because
I'm gonna be real
usually,
with you. I'm gonna be real.
Okay.
I think he's overrated.
No.
I know you love him to death, Josh, and yeah, he's a good player.
Did
but
you watch that Apocalypse hardpoint? Oh, guys,
it's the recency, though, man. That's
hardpoint.
the recency. I think he was better in Modern Warfare than he was in this game.
I mean, he was really good. That's the thing. He was really good at Modern Warfare too.
I don't know. He hasn't been like, maybe he's being outshined by Awakening in my eyes, where like when I watch Florida, I just want to watch Awakening.
I would say Awakening's overrated.
Agreed.
Uh-oh.
I was hoping he would come up here because I would have been like, hot take, overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an easy one to say he's overrated. I think he's an easy one to say that for, but I do like, I don't know, man's different.
No, he has good branding. See, that's the problem. Awakening has great branding because he's Big Wake.
What? Great brand. It's not even the branding, dude. Have you watched him play? Have you seen?
That's the problem. I've been watching him play.
You can see the complexity of his brain when he's playing.
In stage 1 and stage 2.
The decisions he makes are sometimes so brilliant.
Dude, I think Awakening's insanely talented, obviously. But
to the degree.
Is there a problem where he's not making the right plays for the teams once in a while? I think that is potentially the case. There's a lot of Dashy vibes with Awakening at points where Dashy makes an insane play. He might push something where you're like, I don't know about that. But it works because he's naturally talented. So I get the arguments. But anyway, with Skyz, I really do think that Skyz he brings a ton to the table. Communication, leadership, and just natural ability, obviously, gun skill. And sure, it hasn't converted as well against the best teams in the CDL, but we've seen him take over matches at points this year. And I just think he's an incredible player. And again, this series with Skyz, insane.
Yeah, I think he's underrated for the fact that people are crediting Awakening with Florida doing as well as they are. I think it's more Skyz than anything.
If you had to say top what in the CDL, like top 20 player, top 15 player, where's Skyz in this list? In just roughly in your head. Because in my tier list, I had him in the A tier, which would be top 14.
Yep.
And a lot of people were pissed that I had Skyz top 14.
Is easily top 10 in my mind.
Oh, then we're not really debating on much here.
Yeah, dang.
Well, that's so. But I think if he's anything, I think he's overrated.
But I don't know. For my opinion, people don't think he's top 15.
No,
are you really?
I mean, people were. I was getting fried in the comments before heading into stage 5. To be fair, the Mutineers didn't play well at the major, at stage 4 major, but before that, they were playing really, really well. And I had Skyz in top 14 and right on the edge. I said right on the fringe of top 14. It's like 13th, 14th. People were pissed that I had him in that top 14, 15. He was the most talked about player in the comments.
Where do you think he should be?
Like between 15 and 20.
They wanted him lower.
Yeah, lower.
I think he's top 15.
So then I disagree with that consensus.
Yeah.
I think he should be higher.
So that's kind of my thing.
Underrated, I guess.
Yeah. I think he's underrated.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, though, that I from your talks, I thought you were going to say he's outside the top 15.
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that you had him that high after how you're kind of framing the whole conversation. So that was a really fun one.
Because I had him at top 4 AR. And so he would be like 13, 14, 15.
Somewhere in there.
Around there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, I think it's fun. So with that said, that was a great segment. We'll do that again in the future for sure. Now that we kind of have our producer in the mix.
Thanks, Amari.
Yeah,
and
the man with the most.
Pros, if you get mad, tweet at Josh. SalvationsElite on Twitter.
Yeah,
tweet at the public.
SalvationsElite.
We think you're incredible.
Yes.
It's the people who don't.
That's true. We are, blame Reddit.
Remember, pros, you're all good players.
That's facts. Now we'll talk about who the best in the game is, baby.
You can stop forest fires.
Alrighty, best in the freaking game. So we got to talk about, obviously, a lot of really fun matchups this weekend. Last weekend went pretty well for all of our predictions, actually. Specifically, one of ours.
Specifically you.
You know, I just happened to bring that. I don't know how that came up. Just crazy timing. But yeah, I did tweet like it went very well. I was 8 for 10 or 10 matches, right? On the weekend, and 8 perfect map picks, which is pretty crazy. We haven't seen that one before. We gotten close.
Yeah.
I know, like, I think each of you had some like really close ones, but none of us have had like...
me and you had the same, except you just had the map counts way more than me.
Yeah, because we had all the same winners the whole way through the weekend. Yeah. Obviously, the two that we got wrong were the New York picks. We were high on New York, obviously. Heading into this weekend, really thought they'd convert. Sam, you won that one.
Yep,
you did have that one.
Got the Chicago pick.
You got the Chicago pick, right?
I didn't get the old
LAT
Seattle versus Florida, which we'll.
Oh yes, that's right.
We'll get into that.
That's correct. But yeah, so obviously a really fun weekend of matches. First up, before we actually get into matches specifically, I did want to talk if in your head does it affect anything at all that the basically the 4 teams have now been eliminated. So we have our top 8. It's basically confirmed at this point that these are the top 8. Does that affect you in any way with the picks, like motivation wise, how a team might play, teams breaking up because of certain things, like because players are playing for to keep their job next year? Like, is anything in your head, does that matter at all to you?
Yes, at least for the online. Yeah, when you go to a LAN, it's varied. Like Seattle could turn up because no, it's LAN, and they might decide to try and play well or something.
Yeah. I agree with you where like right now the league matches, I mean, they basically are irrelevant to the bottom 4 teams, but they really matter to the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams because they're playing for the top 6 at champs. So pretty interesting there. And it's like, that's kind of where my only effect might be would be if a team in that 4 through 8 range is playing one of the bottom 4 teams.
Yes.
It probably weighs even more heavy for me in those types of picks. So we'll see how that comes into effect today.
I agree.
So with that said, our first match of the weekend is one of these types of matchups. Toronto versus LAG. Obviously kicking off, thoughts on the LAG debut, your guy.
Well, seems like LAG might have gotten worse.
Making a play.
Does not seem to be the guy.
I mean,
maybe we don't even blame Mental. Vib was on that team, was having the problems too.
Let's listen. Yeah. It was Mental's first week. They played Minnesota, which I guess you could say they probably could have played better.
Yeah, definitely.
Within Dallas for sure. Like you're gonna get wrecked there.
They did take a hard point off the rocker at least. Yeah. That's a positive.
But I will, Mental for sure did not play as I was hoping, but I think we give him another week.
I mean, again, realistically, we've seen these types of guys take some time to develop, and he's playing with 3 established pros, and that was a lot of talk from the casters talking about him with kind of the veterans now. So obviously, I think we're all going to pick a 3-0 here. I'd imagine. Not too surprising on a pick here.
Yep.
Again, Toronto at this point hasn't shown any sign of like really slowing down. I mean, obviously they lost that one hard point to Rocker, which was a little surprising. That was the hard point, but we think we all have a lot of confidence still in this Toronto team, what they can do moving forward. So that's pretty straightforward. They're nothing too crazy.
Yep.
So
that's true.
With that said, here's one of those 4v8 matchups versus a bottom 4 team. We got Minnesota versus Seattle here in a match. Again, Minnesota and Florida are trying to stay afloat, and LAT, those guys are all battling for the winners bracket start at champs. So these matchups are huge for Minnesota. Thoughts on this series?
I think Minnesota, they're clamoring like to really get in that spot, and it's against Seattle, who don't have a chance to get there anymore. I think Minnesota's going to come in, get the 3-1, and it's going to be easy.
Okay. Sam?
I always will, and I want to believe in this Seattle squad, but at the same time, I just haven't seen it, and I don't think we will this year.
Classic had a tough weekend.
He had
a really tough weekend.
Very tough weekend.
Yeah, that was not good against Florida. Oh my, real tough.
I mean, again, I think Seattle will take the control, but
they've been playing good at control. I mean, hey, you gotta give them that. Yeah.
I mean, can they pull if they win it to be a game 5? Could they pull that off against Rocker? They could. Will it happen? I'm gonna go 3-1 Minnesota. I would love to see the 3-2.
It's not shocking. It wouldn't be crazy if Seattle wins this.
No, it wouldn't.
When's the last time they played? It's been a minute.
I think it was stage 3.
Oh, it's stage 4. They played. They played
4.
During the stage 4. Rocker beat him 3-1. Surge took the first hard point. We have seen some improvement in control from Surge since then. It could go 3-2. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. And then there's a world where Seattle could win this. This is an upset alert type situation. But again, these matches mean so much to the Rocker. This is where I give the advantage. You guys are going Rocker 3-1. It's a pretty good pick. Rocker 3-1 makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go 3-1 as well. Yeah, I mean, Seattle could take a hard point. They could take it in control. This could go to a game 5. This would not be surprising. But it's going to be really, really close. So, yeah, that's going to be a fun one for sure. So, the next one is the Florida-Dallas series. And this is great. So, last week, Sam and I did make a bet about Florida and the potential that Seattle, this actually was the Florida versus Seattle pick. And we made a bet. It was if Florida would win 3-0 or 3-1. And Florida did end up winning 3-1.
Yeah.
So Sam now is wearing the IP and Pools hat.
I do.
Things you love to see. Looking fire as always, Sam. Looking so good.
It feels good to be back, boys.
Yeah. So thoughts on, kick us off. Thoughts on this series. Florida versus Dallas. Do you believe in his Dallas squad? Can Florida make a move?
Dallas looks too hot. They look too
spicy.
Hot.
Yeah, they do.
I was really kind of excited to see them last week and just be like, okay, are they the real deal? And I
it was against LAG, so how much you really going to see? But it was dominant.
But it was what, 2-something to 16 at one point? It was
250 to 64, but yeah, they were up like, it was like 16 or something like that. And then they won the standoff. Some of the S&D in that standoff was, ooh. Yo, Empire is so good at standoff, man.
It's
and
crazy.
Then they dominated the raid 3-0.
And I think Vivid really has found his place in the squad. And
I agree. This team's looking scary.
Oh, it's scary, dude. And then, like, what do you have to say about Florida too? Then, like, obviously they're a good team, but they can't beat this Dallas squad.
I mean, again, this
Dallas
would be a huge win for Florida.
Organized now more than Mutineers.
Yeah, I agree. You just have a lot more confidence in how this team plays. Rex, what are you going with?
I'm going Dallas 3-2. I actually think this is going to be a closer series than we're thinking. I think Florida is individually very talented.
Right, obviously.
And they each are very smart individually. It's the connection of their brains to each other that just is not happening.
They need them brain connections, man.
Sometimes all you need is just individual smarts and things can work in your favor. And I think that can happen with Florida here. I think they'll come out and maybe surprise Dallas a little bit.
I know.
Because Florida's got good players and they can, like, we have Neptune v Shotzi.
Right.
Illy v
again, it went game 5 last time they played in the at the end of stage 4 in groups. That was the series where everyone thought Mutineers were going to win, and then Dallas comes out win. You're like, oh wait, maybe Dallas has a chance at this major.
Yeah.
And in that series, Empire won both hard points. They lost the S&D in the first S&D on Express, where the Mutineers 6-0'd them, and then checkmate control.
Yeah, I think these teams match up actually really well.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun series.
Just the composition of the players on each team, I think the battle is very intense.
I agree.
Mutineers' MO seems to be they'll be a top 4 team once a stage.
In one series of stage?
In one series of
stage. Could this be
it?
The one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
The answer is no. This is going to be a Dallas 3-1. You know what? Yeah.
Oh, man. I really want to pick Florida, but I really do believe in this Dallas team. I think a 3-1 makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go Dallas as well, 3-1.
Ooh,
you know, which map does Florida win? It's kind of hard to say, considering their last matchups. Obviously, yes. I mean, Empire's trying to defend the throne and all that as well, coming off of stage 4. And the balance, Empire's just a really balanced team. And I just really believe in them to make some moves and make some plays. So I love it. Alrighty. LAT and Atlanta. This gets interesting. What do we believe about these teams? So I guess I'll throw up our little predictions real quick here. Rex, you just put it in here.
Yeah.
Atlanta 3-1. What are your thoughts?
LA Thieves, I think, definitely is looking a lot better with the composition that they have.
Everyone looks good till they play Atlanta.
Yeah, kind of in that way. I think maybe FaZe will underestimate them a little bit. LA Thieves will win a map, and then FaZe will get pissed and then steamroll.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, they could take an S&D. They could take maybe maybe a control. That's tough. Again, we don't really know exactly what LAT's strengths are yet with this squad. Again, they've looked good in the small sample size we have of them, but it's not against teams where you're like, okay. I mean, obviously the subliners win, but then the subliners get 3-0'd by OpTic, and you're like, okay, what does this really mean now? And then they lose a standoff S&D to the Ravens, where the Ravens dominated them on S&D there. So it's like, that's what's tough. But then the Thieves won both their S&Ds against the subliners. So you're like, okay, well, what's happening here?
Because subliners played bad.
I mean, obviously the subliners played horrible. I mean, obviously. But is that the MO now for New York? We're about to talk about New York here against London, the two teams that LAT faced this weekend. But that's why I'm really conflicted. Sam, do you have anything to add? I'm still trying to decide and sift through it.
I was just going to say, it's hard gauging LA Thieves on past performances because of how many roster changes. I feel really good about John. I truly do.
Again, like we said earlier, Draws has been the guy where
has been the guy.
He's a playmaker.
Absolutely.
He's a unit. And I mean, by far, when I watch them, I'm by far most impressed with Draws. In that series, some of the streaks that he got in that NYSL series, in the S&D on Moscow, he ended up going 13-3, and he was just on point, making reads, rotations. Like, you're like, wow, this is some good S&D here. And then it comes down to the clutch, and again, Draws made big time plays in that Miami S&D as well. Like, really fun.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I just almost yanked our headphones out. I kind of think, though, if you remember that clip of Abizi talking about scrims,
yep.
I kind of think FaZe are just like the hard counter to Thieves. Well, to anyone, but like,
yeah,
if for all of Thieves, like this current roster, like how they shine, I think FaZe is that plus more.
Right. Here's what I think. Thieves' strategy, from what I'm can gather, is that they want to catch FaZe. Like, they want FaZe to be overly aggressive and catch them out, not really rush into their face.
I mean, that's the thing. LAT played some really slow COD at points even against New York. Yeah, really slow COD.
That's how New York was getting burned. It's like New York would be going, and like LAT would play so far back, New York would run through, and it's like, geez, like they play so slow, like they don't run into you, which I think that's going to be their plan with Atlanta, but I think Atlanta is going to have they can adjust well to counter that. Yeah, they can adjust to it, I think.
And if they know that that's kind of how they want to play now, you can start vetoing against it, where like that's kind of the tougher spot that New York was in, is you don't exactly know where LAT is at as a roster. So that creates for some tough debate too. I mean, I just saw here and I'm leaning that way. I think
FaZe 3-0. I like what map would you see him win?
S&D maybe.
But even then, it's just like FaZe would beat. Thieves don't have any specialties that would break FaZe.
Right. The thing is, like, if Atlanta sees this as a good opportunity to kind of test some new maps and try some new things, then that's always the argument for why teams could potentially steal it off of them during the stages.
Yeah.
Man, I do like how LAT played, but it's hard not to buy into Atlanta. I'm going to go 3-1, but I don't feel good about it. This could be a 3-0, but I'm going to go Atlanta 3-1. And it's going to be a really fun series. So, alrighty, London versus New York. Again, these are the two teams that played against LAT this weekend. Thoughts on this New York team, Rex? I mean, this was not their weekend. They played terrible. Weekend. They played terrible.
And it's not because they're a bad team. I think they just had a bad week.
Yeah.
Like you just watched and you're like, what are they doing?
I mean, those first 2 maps against LAT were like, what? This is not New York. Literally, it didn't even feel like the same series the next 3 maps.
No. So, like, I do think New York is going to be able to bounce back. There is some, I think maybe there's some issues to work out on the team for sure, and really trying to get in the groove of working together again like they were.
This is a good team to do it against.
Being so overly aggressive and throwing lives away at times. So I'm going New York 3-1 against London. I think London might be able to pull something out.
I mean, yeah, they looked really good in that S&D against LA Thieves. Like, you could steal something here.
Yeah, but I still think New York is a strong team and they will win.
London's just been so bad in respawns.
I was gonna say, like, I'm so down.
Do you believe in the New York bounce back?
I'm so down bad
for London
on London, dude. What are these guys doing?
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, again, at least they took the map off LAT, but
I just don't even. I don't trust them to win a map here. I think it's gonna be 3-0 New York.
Last time they played, they did get 3-0'd by New York.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the New York 3-0. I agree. I'm gonna go New York 3-0. I think they bounce back here. And yeah, that's the problem. Is just the London team. Although I really continue to be impressed with Afro. Every series, I feel like
he is good.
He makes at least 1 play per series. You're like, oh wow, like that's insane.
He's talented.
And so he makes some of those crazy plays where you're like, okay, that's the talent you're hoping to see. But obviously the team's just not there right now. There's nowhere close. And Alex is still having some tough moments. He did have some nice moments in that control on was that on Checkmate, where he found some streaks after really having a slow start and made some important plays to keep it close. But that's where I'm a little bit kind of in debate there. But yeah, I'll go New York 3-0. LAG Florida. Very fun. I guess it kind of continues to depend on what you believe about this LAG team.
I know.
Rex, what do you think?
I think LAG's in the dumpster right now. I just if they had Chino, maybe I'd have a slightly different prediction. But I think Florida needs to start showing up more and really establishing the case that they are a great team and compete.
Okay.
And they have to do it this week. You know, we're heading into champs. They got to start figuring it out. So I think Florida will win it 3-0.
Man. I mean, yeah, the COD, obviously, again, this is one of those situations where I really do think the standings matter. And that's also the same thing with the New York situations, that these standings matter and these matches are really important to these guys. So I'm down for a 4-3-0 here. I'm down to keep on the wave and see what happens.
I think they're going to lose the S&D, honestly.
That's very possible.
I don't know. Florida doesn't strike me as, I'm not confident.
The confidence to dominate.
I don't have the confidence in Florida to put on a dominant showing. I just don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wish I did, and I wish they would, because I know they have the talent for it. But there's just times where it just breaks down, like in the S&D, it'll break down.
Who's the last team they 3-0'd?
Can I cheat?
It's LAG.
Is it?
At the major in the losers rounds, because after Florida beat LAG. So I don't know. I do have enough confidence in Florida to see this happening, and it's going to be a slow process for LAG here to try to figure out what they got.
I just can't believe LAG had a 11 hardpoint losing streak.
Yeah, that's actually insane. We just got a stat here, though. The last time that Toronto and the Surge played was the Modern Warfare launch weekend, which is absolutely insane. And that's our next match here.
Oh, holy crap.
So pull up some gameplay, baby, because that's what I'm looking to see. Is that actually the case?
Seattle versus Toronto.
That seems impossible.
Have they never been in the same group?
That's insane. Wow. Okay. Well, if that's the case, that's crazy. So
they have literally never played in Cold War.
Wow, that's insane.
Well, there you go. That's something fun. Like, we know who's gonna win, but like,
yeah, new matchups. Look at this. This is the gameplay
spark that'll keep you interested.
Breaking news: the last time that they played is you're gonna watch some Modern Warfare hardpoint right here. Very fun.
Jeez.
Man, so
Oh my goodness, we didn't even talk about Vanguard.
yeah, so I was gonna say I literally thought about that. We need to do a full segment on that here in a second. So this is gonna be a long episode. That's why we were flying today. But
all right, Toronto 3-1 against Seattle.
Yeah, Toronto's
I'm gonna throw Seattle a bone because shout out Octane and the Seattle squad.
I'm gonna go Toronto 3-0. I think they take care of business as well. And we won't punish you guys with watching too much Modern Warfare Hardpoint on Hackney Yard. Or no, that's on Gunrunner. But anymore. So, all right, Paris versus LAT.
This is Temp's revenge tour, actually.
It is Temp's revenge tour.
I think they'll take the first hard point. Temp will be going crazy, and then it's just going to fall apart, and LA Thieves will win 3-1.
Man. Alrighty. So
I think Paris would win the S&D, if anything, not the hard point.
Well, that doesn't fit with my narrative, Sam. So,
I mean, Paris was looking good in S&D up until this stage, but they played OpTic and FaZe, so it's like,
yeah, I'm not taking too much from that first weekend. That's a rough weekend, dude.
That's a rough start. I mean, that's a tough go. I'm down for LAT to win 3-1, but LAT's gonna win this. I'm very confident in that.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I agree.
Ooh, this one is nice.
So now we get to the best matchup of the whole weekend, obviously. And it's OpTic v FaZe. So lean forward in your chairs for this one, boys. Where are you guys at? Thoughts on the OpTic performance against New York? And that's obviously what OpTic fans are hyped about right now. FaZe is looking still good. Very, very good. OpTic looked very good. They did.
They look better than we've seen them in a long time, I think. I still think New York's played bad in the series. I think New York played bad.
I agree.
Plus with the issues they were having. But
yeah, I mean, the tech issues were a real problem, but
I don't think there's much to say here. I mean,
you think it's going to be for the huge?
It's going to be a 3-1. It's
I'm in the same boat as Sam, actually.
It's like it's cool, it's like OpTic versus FaZe, but it's not even close.
You're still not going to buy into the improvement?
No.
I mean, they did look a lot better. It was hard not to be impressed by that. But that just means that you're giving FaZe more footage to work off of.
Yeah, I mean, really,
man,
this isn't a question. If you think it's a question, you're kidding yourself.
It could go. I mean, it's not crazy to go game 5.
It's crazy to go game 5.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, wow. You really
Josh
are down
wants
on
to ride
OpTic.
the fence on this one, Sam. He's going to do 3-2 Atlanta.
50%.
I'm at like 50-51.
But it could easily go in OpTic's favor here. It could
easily go either way. Man. I mean,
the only team that has a chance is Dallas right now, or Ultra.
So you really just don't buy into any of the OpTic improvement at all? Because I mean,
I do a little bit. I mean, I do think they've improved, and I think they could if Chicago brings the fire in the belly.
In your words,
maybe it'll go
Josh,
3-2.
They're good until they're not.
Yeah, they are good till they're not.
But
a 3-0 against New York, I mean, that means something.
When New York is playing horribly?
York was playing so bad. Like, you can't tell me that was the New York we know. They were playing so bad.
I mean, they definitely weren't on their game, but but OpTic was on their game. So that matters too.
Yeah, OpTic was on their game. New York was not on their game.
Okay, so what happens if OpTic's on their game and FaZe isn't? I mean, that's just like
if New York was on their game, New York I think beats OpTic.
What map does
New York?
What map is
way
OpTic winning?
I
mean, I'm surprised you don't have him going this being a 3-0 then.
I thought about it.
I mean, I would imagine.
I consider
how you're talking here.
Chicago likes to give a show.
And here's the thing too: is we know FaZe when they play against the top teams, they want to play perfect Call of Duty.
Yeah, and make an example of their opponents.
Pretty much.
I mean, obviously on the year, OpTic's had really no chance, and it's 9-2 map count on the season in their series. It's completely unreasonable to pick OpTic at this point. I mean, we've seen nothing from Atlanta, unless Atlanta shows some sort of sign of weakness against LA Thieves in that series. It's hard to imagine. So I'll go Atlanta. I'm so annoyed that I have to keep hopping on the bandwagon here, and that me and Rex are agreeing again. This is terrible. This is like, are we all agreeing? What is happening, boys?
I mean, we're late in the season now. It's kind of
straightforward, man. It's straightforward.
Yeah, this is pain.
Can't get enough.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Atlanta 3-1, but I guess I'll show you guys our current predictions here for you guys who are on YouTube. Yeah, it's just
straightforward, boys and girls.
Yeah,
and gremlins.
The S&Ds. I'm just really having a tough time with what this could look like for S&Ds. I think OpTic has a real chance in the S&Ds, and obviously, how OpTic wins this, it's almost for sure going to be in a game 5. So,
Grammy.
Anyways, they played at the beginning of stage 1, obviously, and that's where FaZe absolutely dismantled them 3-0. So you could definitely make that argument that could happen again. So I'll be interested to see. I would like to see them play on Miami S&D. That's where I want to see them play, but probably won't happen. So we'll see. All right, Minnesota Dallas, our last match of the day, and we can see what happens here. So thoughts on this matchup? I mean, again, I still really do believe in this Dallas team.
100%. Dallas 3-1.
I'm going to go Dallas 3-0. I think this Dallas team's really emerging as a top 3 team. I mean, almost locked in as a top 3 team right now. You could make the argument that they are the second best team in the CDL now. I mean, you could have made the argument before, obviously heading into this major or heading into the stage after the major, considering they did beat Toronto. But they continue to impress, and I think they're going to continue to impress here. And from the fundamentals that we've been seeing, there's nothing that you can say that they're not really, really good. And I'm sad in myself that I didn't commit to them being great going into the stage, but I really, really like Dallas a lot. So I'm going to go 3-0.
Yeah, you can't not buy into the...
Wow, really good analysis.
Can't... What's the word in there? You cannot not buy.
You gotta buy in.
You gotta buy in. I'd be the world's greatest salesman. You, sir, cannot not buy in.
You want this right here.
You want this.
Yeah, it's just they look fantastic. Until I see something like some sort of sign of weakness, I'm in.
It's hard. I'm sorry that these are all straightforward, but it's the end of the season.
It is. So again, now we can head into our intelligent or irrelevant. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Gotcha.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Alrighty, so what do we got today, Sammy, for intelligent or irrelevant? Intelligente or irrelevante?
I thought I'd gear it more towards, with the kind of Vanguard talk and kind of future.
The juicy Vanguard talk.
The question for today is, what is the best third game mode competitive wise?
Ooh, out of all that we've ever had.
Out of what we've had.
Okay, interesting.
Is it CTF?
Yes.
Is it uplink? Is it domination or is it control?
Uplink. It's really tough.
There's only one correct answer here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just stupid because it's like you guys in sports are gonna why do we even have a conversation about this? It depends on the game, obviously, because uplink, you can only play it in 3 of the freaking CODs. In all the other games, you could, in theory, play these game modes in any of the games. So, could you imagine control in a jetpack game? I think it could be sick. Like with
You're not really trying to make this argument, are you?
What?
Uplink is the best third mode. There's no question. There's no control if there was jetpacks.
I think you have to say, viewership wise, uplink is by far the best.
100% uplink is the best.
I really, really loved BO4 control a lot. I really loved BO4 control. And so the upside of BO4 control, I'd be tempted to go that direction as my favorite third game mode. But I also love World War II CTF. The only issue was the overtime rules were a little annoying in holding the flags. And so if you can tweak those a little bit in the future, I see the upside for CTF being incredible. The poll obviously is going to win with uplink.
Are you trying to troll right now?
Just tell us the results. Tell us the results.
You're talking about control in jetpack games. You don't even mention uplink, and then you say CTF in World War II, and still you don't mention uplink.
I think Dom might be the best.
I'm gonna vote CTF.
No, Dom obviously.
Dom.
Yeah, Dom is obviously worst.
There we go, boys.
Did you add Blitz to this poll?
No, I didn't add Blitz.
Blitz is the best.
64% uplink.
What a bunch of idiots.
Intelligent.
Intelligent.
Irrelevant.
You know what's interesting?
What?
You know what's interesting?
What?
What was second, do you think?
What were a CTF probably? I'd pick CTF.
I think people are down on control this year. I bet they said CTF.
Because control is not that great.
This year it's not as good, but in BO4 it was freaking great. That's facts.
And still, if I had to choose between like the best CTF or the best control,
people would say the best CTF game was World War II. Probably. or probably Bo2. But yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, I'm picking CTF.
I don't want uplink back because I don't bet. Not right now. Not right now.
Here.
Bro, what?
So-
What?
That is the
You can't
podcast,
just drop
guys.
that.
Do you want to hear some comments?
Sure.
Here comes a guy.
Okay.
Is that
Okay. ...
Blitz.
Yes,
Wow.
my man. Now we're talking. Blitz is facts.
Hype.
Blitz is goated.
Hype Doughboy. CTF is the only correct answer here.
Doughboy, my guy.
Crispy CP. I like that.
Oh,
Is that if there is advanced movement, then definitely uplink. I
Yeah.
don't remember the
This is a
concept
stupid
working too well
question.
in World War II with gridiron or whatever they called it.
Well, I mean,
Gridiron, shout out.
we're assuming advanced movement. At least I am. I'm not playing gridiron.
right.
And then the best comment, Ryan Fatzinger, uplink, everything else is just wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I don't know. Again, it's just like
It's not an
it's hard to
item,
throw
though. It's an
uplink. I think
obvious
you should have
answer.
made that poll without uplink in it because it's like people, of course, are going to say uplink because
It's right.
Because it's
because
right.
because Bo3 is a great game.
And AW.
because
Advanced Warfare.
Mm. Bo3 is a great game, and so people are going to say
and AW.
uplink.
And Infinite Warfare. Maybe like game-wise, but
Anyway,
Uplink
and
itself
so-
was amazing.
Uplink was great. It was
Salvation's
fantastic.
Elite is irrelevant.
It was
Dude.
Hot
fantastic.
take.
I like uplink. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like
You're a
uplink.
hater.
Every game mode.
No, Josh is
I'm
a hater.
50-50.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you know,
That's a
honestly-
scream.
Uplink's great. You know, he's a great
Sure.
player. But yeah, we'll see. So that was a podcast. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Best of Call of
Yes.
Esports podcast. If you guys did, like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you guys really enjoyed. Drop a comment down below on YouTube. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And guys, we will see you next time. But as always, I'm Josh. Obviously, to our right is Best of 3. To our farthest right is Rex Shanier. And guys, this has been the Best of 3 Call of Esports podcast. And we will see you next time. We out.